I'll do what?
What in the butt?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to
What?
Podcast. I'm Becca.
I'm Alston.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Aubriana. And this week, we're doing another one, guys. Don't hate us, but we're talking politics. Because it's got to be talked about. There's so much stuff that's gone on, even just in the last week or so,
Right.
that has to be talked about.
And what day is it today?
As
Get
of
that
recording this, no King's Day.
Yeah.
Whoa!
It's just a squeater.
No, I know. I don't want it flying at me.
Happy No King's Day. Happy Pride Month.
Woo!
Let's get political.
Fuck you, Donald Trump.
Yeah, fuck you and your birthday. You
Fuck
piece of
you,
shit.
DJT.
So his
Hey,
parade just ended up, turning out like right?
I literally saw a TikTok, and I was telling them this earlier. I saw a TikTok of someone, I don't remember what the TikTok was, I just remember the comments, and it was like people being like, oh, I bought tickets, but I'm in the UK, so I won't make it, or oh, I bought tickets, but I have to go grocery shopping in Wisconsin, or I'm from the Netherlands. So funny. So apparently so many people bought tickets to the military parade going on today that never intended on going, and it looked very sad. But the protests around the country,
Yes.
where Chicago was ginormous, even like in Marquette, there was a decent sized crowd.
Yeah. We're in a small enough town that I don't think anything actually happened directly up here, but I heard people saying it at the farmer's market today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were, I feel like most smaller towns, even in Chicago when I lived there was farmers markets during the summer. So every Saturday there's one in our town. And we were picking out brats for our dad for Father's Day tomorrow. For his dad and my dad. And this lady was literally like, no King's Day, no King's Day. Like, she was literally they were talking about it.
I didn't know that.
You were right next to her.
I need you guys to understand we live in a very rural town, and it's very red. Like, there was a parade going on yesterday, and at least a dozen times, a truck pulling a trailer with Donald Trump flags drove past the parade. We are a very heavily Republican. We're not.
We are.
But our area is. So
Jason is.
So personally, like, hearing people talk about, like, saying anything like anti the current administration is amazing to hear, or anti-ICE or whatever. It doesn't happen often. There's like a small group of people up here who are against the administration, but a lot of them are for it still, which is insane to me. And like, I think the reason I don't think we ever planned to do this many political episodes. But things within the administration and things within the country are changing so fast, and things are getting worse so fast, that it's imperative that we talk about it as social media figures. Like, yeah, we don't have a huge platform, but we have a platform. We're privileged enough to have a platform, so we have to use it for good.
Like, there's no way we aren't gonna talk about it, because so much shit is going on.
Mm-hmm. I remember when the protests in LA started for, like, anti-ICE, and here's the thing that blows my mind, like, people are so angry that people are protesting this, and they're like, well, they're here illegally, yada, 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 but it's not even the deportations they're protesting, because people will throw in, like, Obama deported more people than Trump at this point. Sure, but he also went through the proper channels to do it, and Obama created programs to bring immigrants in and to have an easier process coming in legally, like DACA. So it's much different than random strangers off the street. I'm talking like January 6th protesters were hired as ICE agents with no background, no training, no nothing. They're going into these communities where they know they're majority Latino and Hispanic, and they're snatching people up without checking their papers, without proper identification, without anything. That's what people are protesting over. It's not about legal or illegal immigration. It's about how they're going about it. You can't just kidnap people off the street and say, well, they look Latino. That's crazy. And that's what they're doing. They detained a 9-month pregnant American citizen
I think it's important to know, too, and really reflect, because if you're somebody who watches our podcast and are celebrating this, if they're just choosing somebody who is an American citizen and is like, well, you look like this, why aren't they going to do that to you eventually?
Exactly.
And it's just because no matter how you see yourself, you are at the same level as that person being detained by ICE. Because in a billionaire's eyes, we are all on the same plane. I feel as though we talked about this in a podcast, like, about billionaires. So even if you make more money than the Hispanic person that is being arrested, that doesn't mean you're still in the same cash level. You're still barely probably above what they make. And I think it's the saddest thing ever that it went from, well, these are all, criminals. Like, these are terrible people. We have to get these terrible people out of our country. And most of the people that they've arrested and deported are American citizens.
Hardworking people.
Right. Yeah, why are we arresting people off of farms? What have any of those people ever done to hurt anybody else?
I know what you're about to say.
Which one of Donald Trump's billionaire buddies called him up and said, hey, quit taking employees from my hotels and my farms?
Yep.
Because it's crazy that you were perfectly comfortable detaining anyone that might be here illegally until somebody told you, hey, I'm going to have to raise my prices, or hey, I'm going to have to pay my employees more money if you keep snatching them up from me. That's crazy. The only way you're going to stop abducting people is to have your billionaire buddy say, hey, if you do this, I'm going to lose money. Money means jack shit when it comes to a human life. And that, if you support what ICE is doing, that tells me that you care more about money in billionaires' pockets than you do about the quality of somebody's life.
Yeah.
Because as a mother, there is nothing I would not do to make sure my children are safe. I would move across the world, across the country, anywhere, illegal or not, to make sure my kids are safe. And that's what 90% of these people are doing. When Trump campaigned, he campaigned on getting rid of criminals, murderers, gangs, drug dealers, not your random person making you your food, or changing your sheets in a hotel, or picking your fruit.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a whole, like, to get fentanyl off the streets.
Right.
And I would have to say, see, this is where I feel as though we sit on a different plane of thinking than most people who are in MAGA. Because I don't want fentanyl in the streets. Mm-hmm. I used to buy gardening off of the street when I lived in Chicago because it wasn't legal. Mm-hmm. And if I did that today, I could die. Mm-hmm. Because they're not only lacing that into opioids or like Molly, ecstasy, whatever. They're not cutting it just into cocaine. They're starting to put it into marijuana now to get you addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And you can take that once and die.
I've known people who used to party with me, like, it was in their weed, and they died.
Mm-hmm. And I think we all don't want that either. So if you're going to tell me you're deporting these people that are actually part of these rings or whatever you want to call it.
You don't want
I just feel as though we all are on this. If they're actually going to deport people that are part of these gangs, if you want to call it a gang, or drug rings or whatever, mm-hmm. I want them out of this country mm-hmm. too. I want the fentanyl to stop coming in because it's killing kids. Mm-hmm. It's killing our friends. It's killing family members. We can agree that if there's people that are in this country illegally that are doing that, they shouldn't be here. But just to be racist and go to, oh, well, I know that a lot of Hispanic and Latino people work at Home Depot and you pull up to a parking lot mm-hmm. and just snatch people. This feels as though we're living in a history book that I read in high school.
Right.
And I think that is the scariest part about this time.
I think, too, one thing that throws me off is how long did the Republicans say that they're stealing our jobs?
Yep.
Or there's two sides of it. They're either stealing our jobs or they're living off the government.
Yep.
Which is it? But also, none of the immigrants are living off the government. Mm-hmm. And another argument is that they don't pay taxes. Why is ICE using the IRS to find immigrants? You don't deal with the IRS if you're not paying your taxes.
Exactly.
The hypocrisy within the, I won't even say Republican, the MAGA party is insane. You can sit here and lecture me on how these illegals are mooching off the government and doing all this stuff, but then they're stealing your jobs. Love you. So which is it? Are they stealing your jobs or are they mooching off the government? Are they not paying taxes? What's happening?
And now with the military, like,
That's
going after
insane.
our own, like, people in our country.
A war on your citizens. But also, like, I agree with you. Get drug dealers off the street. I want all the drug dealers, not just... That's the thing. I think that's the difference, is, like, though I want the white drug dealers off the street, too.
Mhm.
Exactly.
They'll never go after them, though.
Right.
Another thing they've been saying, though, is that it's the weapons that are being brought in. And they literally made this deal with Canada because apparently we get so many weapons from Canada, which we literally don't.
That's just like,
it's like
they
1%
say we
of
bring
our
in...
weapons come from Canada.
They also said that there's so much fentanyl crossing the border, and it's like 0.1%
Mm-hmm.
of the fentanyl we get comes from Canada.
And it's just like, they always are going to scapegoat anybody to just keep what they're doing secret.
I think it's just sad because I just don't understand. Like, okay, where we grew up, as we've talked, if you've been with us now for the couple months we've been doing this, is we grew up in a place where there's not that many people of color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially us like when we were younger, there really wasn't many. There are some, like, Asian people around from the university that is close to us.
Yeah, that's where, like, the different ethnicities go. Like, there's Indian people and Asian people. That's where they all are.
Yeah, but I would say, like, that skin tone is probably the darkest we usually see.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I used to travel as a kid, the first time you ever do see a black person, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, you're not, like, I never was like, oh my gosh, I need to hate them. It's curiosity as a kid more than anything. How do you look at somebody and genuinely be like, you are so disgusting, I'm going to do everything in my power to oppress you, to make sure laws are against you, to make sure that you need to go back to the country I'm doing it with 3 fingers, I'm so mad. The country where you came from. I don't understand how us as white people who have literally, we came to this country, like Christopher Columbus crossed the ocean, and then we annihilated the Native Americans that were living on this land. We poisoned them, we riddled them with diseases, and all they ever did for us was they showed us how to grow food in the environment that we were living in. They showed us how to bathe properly because we weren't doing that. We showed up and they literally thought we were disgusting white people. Like, who are these people that smell gross? And they showed us how to live in this country, and we paid them back with killing them.
Yeah, we murdered them.
And we're doing the same thing today. How have we've evolved so much that I have every single thing at my fingertips with my phone. I can Google anything. I can walk into a dispensary and it looks like an Apple store. But we're still going to sit here and act like a person of color is the worst and most disgusting thing. Or a trans person or a gay person or anybody that is different than me is gross. How it is 2025. How are you not evolving like everything else?
And how insane is it to teach your kids to hate people when they're kids? Like, that's so crazy to me. My kids see a person of color, a black person, whatever, whatever ethnicity, whatever, and they're again, like Becca said, curious to be like, well, why is their skin color different? How do you take that opportunity to teach your kids it's a bad thing for their skin color to be different? That's what blows my mind.
Right? Oh, you should be scared because that's even, or like, I'm bigger. Kids always ask me about that. You teach them how to do it properly. Like, you know me, so that's okay to ask me or
Literally,
be curious about.
My daughter commented on her stomach earlier, and I just told her, I'm like, hey, we don't make comments about other people's bodies. That's it.
And I didn't blow up. I literally was like, oh, I do. You're right. That is a comment that, like, you're not wrong. But you say that to people, you can say that maybe to people you know, but if you said that to someone you don't know, they might be really, like, sad or upset by saying that. That's what we teach kids and our kids in our lives.
It's gotta take so much more energy to teach kids to hate than it is to teach kids to accept.
Okay, you have also helped raise children in past relationships. You can't, were those kids ever hateful? No. Or did they spew things that you were teaching them? Or that they saw? They mimic. I feel like kids mimic, right?
Yeah. I will say, though, Anna's afraid of really tall people.
Really?
Yes. There was this guy at a grocery store, and he was, like, as tall as the shelves, and she was petrified.
But she's little, though, so it's a thing where it's, like, perception. She's probably like,
oh my god,
they're
so tall.
It's like a little dog. It's like a little dog being scared of a big dog.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and that had nothing to do with me. And that's...
It's instincts.
The thing is, though, like, kids... I think it's natural instinct to see somebody who looks different and be a little bit, like, weary of them.
Yeah.
That's your opportunity to be like, hey, it's not a bad thing that they're different than you. Like, imagine waking up and thinking, I'm going to teach my kid to hate somebody today.
And I think a lot of hate comes from insecurity.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I only ever get upset if someone's speaking a different language, and you can, sometimes you can tell when someone's talking about you if they're looking at you and then they talk and then they look at you. That is something where it's like, okay, I'm not me.
Dude, I would totally talk shit about everybody else if I spoke a different language.
But I don't look at that or hear that, and this is America. Like, this is, you should be...
Yeah.
Speak our language.
We don't have a language.
And, at the end, we are, like, the only country that doesn't teach our kids to speak fluently in at least one other language.
Yeah, it's like an option. Like, okay, I took 1 full year of French and
we did.
Yeah, him and I both took 1 full year of French, and we both... Did you do, like, the study with me, too? The next year I did, like, French...
I didn't. I only did it freshman year.
See, but I did...
Yeah, that's it, though.
I did
not
3 years of Spanish, but, I mean, in other countries, kids are born...
like
learning 2
languages,
multiple languages even, but for some reason in America, God forbid you speak a different language.
Well, another thing that really is pissing me off is how they're like, people are flying the Mexican flag and they're getting really pissed off about that, but it's like, dude, you're so racist, because up where we live, a lot of us are Finnish, and we fly Finnish flags here all the time,
Cindy.
And no one ever says anything about it, because Finland is like a white country.
But I agree. You see that everywhere. Everyone has Sisu. People have it tatted on them. Mm-hmm. Even people that are Italian, I feel as though we see the Italian flag. And again, this is all coming, and anybody that is watching this, if you're feeling attacked in this moment, I want you to sit in your feelings. Because I genuinely think a lot of the hate, like I said, it comes from insecurity. And it comes from not being able to process feelings. And it's okay to be wrong. It takes a lot to admit you're wrong. Or even admit, like, maybe my mindset has been wrong. Or I've been viewing this thing wrong. And that's okay. And maybe listening to us could change something that you've been, maybe a prejudice you had. That's great. And maybe it won't. That's also fine. You're at least still listening to us, right? I think that if you really sit here and think about it, like what Jason just said is so true. We celebrate as white people who we are. Mm-hmm. Greek, Italian,
Croatian,
Finnish, Croatian. What are you mixed with? Irish, huh? Norwegian,
Italian.
Right, but what's wrong with flying a Mexican flag? Or what is wrong with people flying any type of different flag that isn't from a country of has a lot of ethnic people?
Yeah, if they're brown, black, Asian country, it's not okay.
And I think think about that. Like, genuinely think about that. You
water.
Bitch.
Really? Water?
She's like, I need to sober up.
If we're doing shots for this live, I gotta...
No, that's valid.
Hydrate.
That's actually vodka.
Like, everything always stems from the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And that's just something people need to learn to be okay with. Like, different doesn't mean bad.
And I do think that comes from, we've talked about this a lot. We grew up pretty much, all four of us talk about this type of stuff, but we grew up in different generations. And like, I remember in high school, you super skinny, like big boobs, but being so tiny that like low-waisted jeans and a little thong
like what they
poking
called
out.
heroin chic, to where it looks like you're on a shit ton of drugs and you're like 90 pounds. Like
Everything changes. Everything has expectation and can change. And that was such a beauty standard that was like not possible for most people. And it was toxic. But now everyone thinks body positivity is such a, like, people are pushing obese is okay. No, it's just, you're okay to be different, and you're okay to celebrate who you are and work on yourself and love yourself and let people ask you questions if they're curious, and you can answer them if you want to or not. But like, you have to be respectful both ways. And I think that's where people just expect to ask a trans person a question like, oh, did you have any surgeries? Are you comfortable if somebody asks you that? I'm not comfortable if somebody asks me, oh, do you ever think of getting weight loss surgery?
Like,
And you know how many people have asked me that?
First, that's like, I got to know you more before I started asking those questions. I think I didn't go straight out and be like, oh, well, do you do this and blah blah blah.
Right, because you're comfortable with him. And usually I feel like most people, I even ask, like, we have a couple different trans people in our lives or just queer people in our lives. And I always start a question with, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm just curious about this. And if they don't want to, great. That's why I started with that. Most people, these, like, a lot of older people, boomers, they want to ask a question and get an answer, and they don't care if it's rude. They don't think they're being rude. But if you ask them the same question, you're being rude. The hypocrisy, like you said, is so strong.
Yes. I think the thing that really gets me, though, is, like, you can never be what people want. Like, when I was in high school, I was so skinny that people would tell me to eat more.
Jason,
that
too.
was me. I miss it.
But now I am considered overweight. Like,
Yeah.
people would look at me and be like, I mean, I wear really baggy clothes most of the time to cover my stomach, but, like, it's not a stomach people want to see or, like, would strive for, and and a stomach people criticize. And it's like, you can never be perfect. So, and I think that goes along with, like, you can't be white enough. Like, if you're not 100% white, you're not white enough.
I wish I was really tan.
I get tan in the summer.
I do, but then, like, I'm always inside.
Okay, wait. That's actually a good point. Tell me why all these people that are so racist against people of color get fake freaking tans.
To look darker.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
For real. You hate. Maybe that's why. Because he'll never be as dark as
He's
them.
jealous.
But
We
no,
cracked
for
it.
real.
We
Like,
solved
what?
it.
You guys, you don't want people of color here, of any color, unless it's white. But you also don't want to be white.
I never thought of that before. That's actually a good point.
I think
Again, the
something-
hypocrisy.
I don't know. I think we've talked about this in the past. And also something I think about is white people love people of color when it comes to their culture.
Yes.
They love the food.
Football.
They love football.
Yes.
They love, like, mainly I just always think of food. Like, how many people celebrate, how many white people get so excited when it's Cinco de Mayo?
I mean, like, we're literally having a Mexican food night tonight, but the difference is we welcome the people who created this food.
Diversity.
I learned how to make most of this food from Hispanic people.
Exactly.
Because and that was one thing I think really shocked me when I first literally was living in Chicago and I was working I worked at Chipotle for 6 years. I think I said that before. But they would be so shocked because I never minded. There was some people I worked with that didn't speak fully fluent English. Like, there was a lady who worked there who she started the job not even knowing any English.
Really?
And oh yeah, she was very embarrassed of that.
Aw.
Because people would always, and like, she could speak English, like, by the time I left, she would speak normal to me. She wouldn't even have people translate for her.
Really?
But when she first started talking to me, she would make somebody translate for her because she was so uncomfortable because she would get words wrong and people would correct her so rudely that she didn't want to speak
That's
English.
so sad.
And I think a lot of people need to realize, but again, it's what goes back to what you said, is most Americans know one language. When people can speak multiple languages, they're doing the translation in their own head and having to do that before they respond to you. And sometimes the words get jumbled. English is absolutely one of the most confusing languages.
Because we have so many slang terms, too. And it's just like, what the does that mean to, like, other countries?
And no rules
Yeah.
are, like, there's rules, exceptions, so everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember asking... I don't know Spanish, but I used to be able to, like, understand and, like, speak. Like, I could get somebody through a line and be able to tell them the food and everything else, right? I couldn't necessarily, like, fully understand, but it was enough to be able to accommodate somebody through a line. And I remember asking people, like, oh, how do you say this in Spanish? And they'd be like, there's not really a translation for
Como
that.
se dice? That's how you say, how do you say?
But I would just pick random words, and they'd be like, there's not, you could kind of say this, but it really means this. And that's where it's like, you can't, that's where I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, but again, living in this city for a minute, maybe you did living in Lansing, but I've been waiting in line before, or like helping, again, when I worked at a place, and you'll have somebody, the person's trying to sit there and think of how to respond to what they're saying. It's like, what? You don't understand me? You don't speak English? You don't get this? Why are you in here? It's like... Right, if you get overwhelmed and, like, I have anxiety, we've all talked about this too, sometimes I get choked up and I only speak English. So imagine somebody who knows 2 languages who gets overwhelmed or is potentially getting yelled at in a customer service position or something, and you're going to sit there yelling at them instantly. That's not going to make them speak English any faster.
I literally couldn't think of how to tell the cashier at Dollar General that my child was a girl and not a boy.
That exactly.
Like, my brain short-circuited and I couldn't think of words to explain that she was a girl.
Yeah. It's a lot.
This is going with that. It's going back to, like, the politics stuff, like, in court stuff, right? What's her... Or I'm just not even just this one specific bitch, a few of them. Like, when they're in the court, or the House, the Senate room or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
when they're in session.
Yeah, constantly. The trans bathroom stuff. And then there's, like, this one bitch... Actually, 2 of them, I can't remember what both of their names were, but constantly asking the person they're asking a question to, they're just like, so what is a woman? What is a woman?
They asked Tim Walz that the other day.
Yep. What is a woman? Like, shut the up.
And I think it's so interesting coming, like, from the party that says we are obsessed with pushing LGBTQ plus stuff onto kids, onto culture, and making it such a big deal. But they're the ones, like you just said, at every meeting bringing up genitalia.
Yeah, they're obsessed
bringing up
with
bathrooms.
Look at their freaking wardrobes. Oh my god.
Wait.
The bathroom situation irritates my soul because it's like, you want women to be safe, but you also want to inspect women before using the bathroom.
Yeah, that's perverted.
How is that protecting women when you want to look at their freaking genitals to make sure that their genitals match the... I don't understand.
And one time, somebody that I know that works at Walmart was in the women's restroom, and she is a cis woman, and she just complimented someone's sweatshirt and was just like, hey, I like your sweatshirt. And she was like, are you in the wrong bathroom or something like that?
Oh my god.
Yes. I have never been in the bathroom, and I don't know if this goes for y'all.
She's never been in a bathroom.
But I've never been in a bathroom and been sitting there peeing or pooping or whatever I'm doing, and been like, I wonder who's next to me.
I wonder if it's a biological female.
Right, do they think they're just standing at, like, by the door just waiting for them? Like, ooh, I'm gonna touch you, and I'm gonna...
Unless they're making some weird-ass noises, then I'm like...
Right, if it's just a normal bathroom with normal bathroom things happening, I don't care who's in there with me. I just hope you don't notice it's me.
And,
like, I'm not shitting. No, it's not me.
And the fact of the matter is, if somebody comes into the bathroom, and like you say, pretending to be a woman so they can attack women, that is not a trans woman. That is a predator preying on women. That is a man pretending so he can prey on women. There's a difference between someone who dresses up like a woman to attack women in the bathroom and a trans woman. Trans women are just trying to exist. Trans men are just trying to exist. It's already hard enough. We make it so hard for anyone who's even a little bit different to exist comfortably in this world, and now we're going to go the extra step to say, I don't get it. These topics make me so angry that, like, I
get frustrated.
I get flustered.
I'll lose my train of thought because it's just a million and one topics like going through my head.
Well, and then you're like, so much stuff is going on in your head, and then so many things you're remembering or thinking of, and it's like I don't know how to put it into words. How frustrated and my biggest hang up is trying to find a way to explain it to the people the problem.
Yes.
To explain the problem to the problem because they don't understand it. Or they just are willfully ignorant.
Yeah, and they don't want to listen.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you've used the bathroom with a queer person already. Mm-hmm. And if somebody... I feel as though people need to think of this as the same level as a serial killer, okay? Mm-hmm. If they want to go kill somebody, they're going to go do it. If a predator wants to attack a woman or a child or do anything, they're going to do it. You can put as many laws in place as you want, but why are jails full? There's many reasons behind that. That could be a whole nother episode.
My God, yes.
But you know what? The people that are behind bars for killing people or assaulting people or anything like that, that is... the whole they're gonna do it anyway, clearly, because that's why.
It doesn't matter what their gender is, or if they're trans, gay, whatever.
Right. It's that person's gonna choose to do it because they're not, like you said, if that doesn't mean that that's a trans person, that's a person who is a predator dressing up as a woman to with women. Mm-hmm. They're not identifying as a trans woman. They're not going through the steps because they want to be they don't want the gender affirming care. They're just like, oh, I can play dress up today. And go with people.
These people are so good at taking one scenario and applying it to everybody. Just like immigrants. Not every immigrant is going to commit a crime in this country.
Yes.
But because one does, in their heads, they're all going to do it. Like Laken Riley.
Yeah.
They love to throw that name around, and that's tragic. But let's be honest. That was not because of immigrants. She did not get attacked because of immigrants. She got attacked because of a violent man.
Exactly. It's what I just said. You know what I mean? He wanted to do that and he did it. It didn't matter if he was in America or wherever other country that he was from. He was going to do it here or there. That was who he was as a person. Or is.
What skin color has every school shooter been?
White.
Or at least almost every school shooter.
White.
What gender has almost every school shooter been?
Male.
And what about priests touching little kids?
Yeah.
And that is why they are trying to push this rhetoric. Because if... it's so crazy because this almost brings our whole episode together. Is the same thing as why billionaires are attacking us, making us think that the poorest people in this country are the problem. When most billionaires and corporations take the most government subsidies, they're the ones who take the most loans and get the most help and bailouts from the government. It is not the poor people next door. It is not the single mom that is on food stamps trying to get by. It is not the person who's disabled and literally can't work being lazy. We are getting screwed over because they are choosing to take the money for themselves. Mm-hmm. It's not because of all these random issues that they want to throw. It's not because of these small minority groups. Mm-hmm. They have been doing this for years. It is the same thing, and people keep falling for it. Mm-hmm. And now it just keeps getting worse every time. Donald Trump's presidency in 2016 was so different than what this is now. We are 6 months in, and we said at the beginning of this episode, he deployed the military against our own people. If you are a true patriot, if you are listening to this, if you're truly patriotic, is I think what I was saying before the loud car went by, you can't be a patriot and act like this administration is American, when that is why this is called No King's Day today. Mm-hmm. We are not supposed to, I have argued with people under your aunt's post before. If you are saying King Trump, you are un-American. The reason for the Constitution of the United States is to prevent kings. We don't want a dictatorship. That is the whole point of the democracy. And yes, our government is fractured in so many ways that, like...
And it has been for a long time.
Exactly. There's so much that needs to be fixed. And yes, this Constitution was written how long ago? Things have been added, and then things have been taken away, like whatever else, right? There's many things that can be changed, but at the end of the day, we're not supposed to have a dictator. We're not supposed to deploy the military against our own people. That should be red flags. That shouldn't be things that we're celebrating, acting like, oh, we're taking it back. Why are we taking our country back from our own people?
The people that make it our country. The most patriotic thing you can do is stand up against a corrupt government. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, because we were talking about how they'll, like, pinpoint on one singular thing and ignore all the, like, not crazy shit. Mm-hmm. Like, the way that the media on the right wing is covering the protests.
Even the left wing, though. Even, like, CNN and shit.
They cover the 1 in a fucking 100... 1 in 1,000 violent occurrences, when the majority, the 99% of the protests are peaceful, but you're gonna cover the 1% of violence.
I don't even think there was full-on violence. I think those are just old videos. There was looting, but it was when people take advantage of it, like at night when stuff starts.
There was one night where it got out of hand. And again, that's the 1%.
Yeah.
I saw the same video of the same 2 cars. Well, no, it wasn't the same video, but the same 2 cars from different angles burning over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Literally all these videos are from one night from the same group of people.
Yeah.
The people I saw getting violent, I saw a freaking police shoot a reporter with a rubber bullet.
Yeah.
I saw some girl... These police were barricading a road, and she's like, hey, my apartment is right behind you. They shot her with a rubber bullet for that.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds very patriotic.
There are probably some troublemakers. There are 100% troublemakers that are using this opportunity to be violent, but it is 1% of the protesters. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people walking the streets peacefully, trying to make a point, trying to use their voice for good. And instead of showcasing that, the media outlets decided to pick the few incidents that got out of hand and blow them up. So the right would think it was a violent protest.
I just think we all need to remember that all of our news outlets are owned by billionaires.
Yep.
And we are very censored. And our news is fake. And that is the difference between us and MAGA too, is I believe that, but not because it's against Donald Trump or the whatever else. It's just genuinely they feed us certain stuff. They always try to distract us when certain things are happening. They always will try to, oh, well, this is happening over here. Forget about this. It's all a distraction, but most of us don't even have cable anymore. The world is changing enough that they don't have a full grip like they did on our parents. I don't sit and watch TV every night. I don't have a routine of, oh, I'm going to watch this show, and then I watch this show, and then I watch the news, and then I watch the second news, and then I watch another show, and then late news. I maybe watch some TikToks. I listen to some podcasts that are not from MSNBC. It is not from CNN. It is not from any news outlet.
ABC.
It is individual people who do the research and reporting on this.
That's what I do. I go on YouTube and look all this shit
right.
up.
So please tell us that we're the ones giving fake news when we don't even look at... We're doing independent research. Like, and I always say, I feel as though this is important to say too, is when we talk as a group, like especially, we only really see each other, like all 5, including Danny, once a week, for sure. This is our weeknight that we see each other. How many times do we, hey, I don't know if this is true, but I saw this.
Yep.
And we talk about it. Not once do we usually are like, I know this is fact, unless it is something that has personally happened to us as an individual.
Yeah. Not to mention, who's pulling the puppet strings for all the news sources?
Exactly.
Like, they're getting money from somewhere. They're getting paid from someone. Of course, they're not going to tell they're not going to get full on political and like share their full on opinions. That Terry guy from ABC or whatever just got fired for tweeting something about one of Trump's, Stephen Miller or whatever the heck his name is. He got fired for tweeting something negative about Stephen Miller because the media, the mainstream media, is so censored that they have to be so careful.
And I think again that should be red alarms, this should be red flags, because for the party who screams freedom of speech,
like, we're losing it.
Also, whatever happened to keep the government out of our business? The government is all up in your guys' business now.
And they like it. That's what I literally saw.
Take those "Don't Tread on Me" flags down.
Yeah.
I literally saw people at Trump's parade today that had King Trump. We call him King Trump.
That's
Praise
disgusting.
King Trump. Again, please tell me how that is American.
It's so delusional to be that gung-ho over a president. You know how many Kamala Harris things I have in my house? 0. I'm sure there's some people out there who have a hat that they wore at campaigning or like they wear on social media to make videos. But there's not a lot of people who have an entire room dedicated to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama.
You want to know what? We had Kamala signs up
in our yard during the election.
What did we do once we found out Donald Trump won?
Took him down.
And we threw them away.
Like, we don't idolize the people. Like,
you should never idolize a politician. They're all lying. They're all there for the money. Like, but it's about who's gonna do a better job of protecting us.
And it also, if we're gonna throw it back to, if you're religious, you shouldn't be idolizing anything other than your God.
Yeah, idolizing false idols or whatever.
Is a sin.
Prophets.
Right, exactly. Any of that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But here we are. Who's their king? Is saying somebody a king? And I do understand, like, England and stuff has a king, but that is different.
But we don't. We haven't had a king in 250 years.
That's the whole point of what we did 250 years ago.
Yeah, to where did we leave to come here so we wouldn't have a king because they were sick of being ruled under a king?
I don't know, to be honest.
I just know that pretty much, okay, if this is wrong, you can tell us in the comments. We didn't fully research this stuff beforehand, but what I understand is England kept raising the taxes so high. That's why they had the Boston Tea Party, because the tea prices were so high, they were like, this, and poured it all into the ocean. It said, your taxes, we don't even want it. And I think they did it at night. They went and so then they didn't get any money for any of that tea that got delivered. So that was them protesting, them jacking the price up to where these people they were so broke because they were paying so much for their necessities.
Mm-hmm. One thing about us is you can correct us if we're wrong. You can leave comments and criticism and we'll...
But we're never wrong.
Ever.
Keep that one in there.
Getting political is not our... I mean, we are very, our conversations outside of this are political, and we don't always love to bring it to social media because we like to be funny and lighthearted, but sometimes there's just things that are too important to ignore.
And I just think, as we talked about before, it is such a significant day today, and we didn't have a protest up here that we could have... Even if we did, most of the time we're too busy, and I hate to say that, but... You have kids. Mm-hmm. We work overnights. Our schedules. I'm usually sleeping during the day. Jason sleeps during the day. If there was actually something that we could have went to that was more than just 10, 15 people that we safely could have gone to, up here is very rural. We probably would have. But this is a good way for us to get out and really show how we feel. Because again, like you said, we are social media influencers. And how we interpret this stuff may change some people's it may change how they understand it. Mm-hmm. And it's not our whole goal is not to change people's views. It's just this is why we think this way, and it's not we don't have any evil intentions behind. I don't sit here being oh, I need this law to pass because of this. We don't have evil intentions.
Right.
They don't have evil intentions.
Right. Well, and I feel like we were talking about this at one point, but being able to look at people and not that we talked a lot about, like, how these things are affecting us, I guess, just, like, the empathy we have for the people that they are affecting, but I also feel like the more we talk about this stuff and the more we get personal with it, maybe the more people will understand it. I guess, like, trans stuff, though, we did talk about a lot. And that affects you, obviously. But relating it to people that you, I wouldn't say no, but, like, I don't know how to explain it. But just, like, seeing us and getting comfortable watching these videos and then seeing how the things that are happening are affecting us maybe might change your mind a little bit about what's happening and give you a different side of things, a different perspective.
Or even, like, why it scares us.
Yeah.
Or why it could be a scary future. And we got married really quickly, and I'm glad we did. And part of the reason was because we had a fear that Donald Trump would win. And what if we couldn't get married? I mean, he's fully, everything is legally changed to where, like, you know what I mean? Like, we probably would have been fine because he's a male. I'm female. Like, we probably could have got married if anything fully got overturned. But we wanted to do it in a time that was safe.
Yep.
And not even, I don't think everybody at the wedding even knew that you are trans. But, and that wasn't the whole point of our wedding. We didn't have a trans flag. We didn't have pride flags. But it was for us to celebrate and, again, be safe and comfortable.
One thing that I feel like really does need to be addressed is the right side. They continuously are going to push these small issues because the big issue is a secret, because then they can keep profiting, and it all comes back to capitalism. If the left and the right are constantly fighting about trans issues, gay issues, race issues, then we're not... Yeah, books, sexism, then we're not focusing on the real issue, and that is the fact that nobody can afford to fucking be alive.
Except for the billionaires.
Exactly.
The fact that the billionaires are on top, controlling all of us.
Nobody is taking... This is something that should scare you. How much has the military budget increased over the past every single bill? And we are deploying our own military against its people. And our military budget is the highest it's been ever.
Right.
That is terrifying.
But we're going to cut people's Medicaid.
Right. If they wanted to, they would. I need you to keep telling yourself that. And every time you see a bill pass, or you know somebody that loses something, or you see somebody take their own life because they can't live in a world where they can be themselves, you need to think that if they wanted to, they could. We have the money in our budgets. We have
the
resources. We have education. We have people that have been... There have been trans people around as long as civilization has been around. There are ways to educate yourself.
And I'm sorry, no one needs $400 billion if there is one single homeless person sleeping on a street.
And that includes veterans.
Well, we're going to leave it there. Leave you to think on that. And leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that shit.
What? The hip-hop...
Hypocrisy.
Where was I going with this?
You're drunk.
I am a little... That last drink hit me like a boulder.
But... Oh my god, I hate when I lose my train of thought.
Come back.
It'll come back.
Using
what?
My witchy
Oh.
fingers. See?
You did it. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
I guess my biggest catch-up is hang-up.
Yeah.
Ketchup.
Ketchup.
Hot dogs!
No! Thanks a lot, assholes!
Oh my god, it was Nickelback!
Everybody's got a drug dealer on speed dial.
Okay, whatever truck drove by, I'm gonna find you. Shut up!